I was born in mid-December 1988 and came to Australia from Poland in 2003 at the age of 14. I spoke English already when I came to Australia, but not as good as now. My father came to Australia in 1980. After 5 years went back to Poland, met my mother, and I was born. He came to Australia again to work and send us money in 2001. I was diagnosed with Aspergers at the age of 15 in 2004. My high school years as an Aspie were standing up to bullies. When I convinced myself that I can do that, I started to believe in myself. Later came an OCD medication that made me believe in myself even more. But then I started to take too high dosages of this medication, and I started to believe that I could be breaking some sports records, and I lost sense of reality. I started to experience altered states of consciousness as a result of hyperactive brain, and I started to think that I'm someone else. Then confusion became a torture. But I'm getting back to normal now. Once in my head, I was hearing a voice telling me that if I won't hurt myself, and in a way that would make my condition which I developed worse, someone close to me would get hurt so badly that I wish I did it. So situation could always be worse. I was about to do it out of concern when my dad stopped me. In other situation, I was hearing voice telling me that something terrible is going to happen to me. Something so bad that I won't bear it for anyone regardless of what will happen to them, but out of stupidity, but the one coming from heart, I will want to protect a family member whom I love as if my own child, and decided to protect her and bear it, and this is when the voices stopped. But because of hyperactive brain, I also gained ability to think very logically. I realized why space connected to time is just a logical puzzle. Time without beginning would mean that eternity must have already passed. Eternity can never pass, it just goes on and on. But if marking the beginning of time and cutting off infinite past is to occur, then it is already done because eternal past never existed, which creates paradox doing something that is already done. This is why space connected to time. Thanks to ability to think visually, like a lot of people with Aspergers, I also know that time is one moment occurring after another. Non-existence of time is a nonsense. It has nothing to do with where does it come from. Generally, what's nonsense has nothing to do with where does it come from. That the lack of time is a nonsense couldn't start the time, as it is contained within what it led to, time. If substituting one time without beginning for another with beginning is to occur, then it is already done, because eternal past never existed, which also creates the mentioned paradox, doing something that is already done. Marking the beginning of time was possible only through an indirect action. That action was connecting space to time. I love science, physics, and astronomy. The best physics teacher I ever had was the internet. Teachers weren't prepared to work with students with Aspergers. I couldn't keep up even when studying astronomy in science class in high school, which is my favorite subject. I am better in physics than in mathematics, which is easier because I find physics to be more interesting than mathematics. I reached twice my own conclusions in physics, which turned out to be accurate. How to mathematically write that down that as many times as the volume of a gas decreases, that many times its pressure increases, which is pressure equals amount of matter divided by volume, though formula for pressure is force divided by area. The other example is when we got two weights on the opposite sides of the pivot of the lever, then in the bracket, weight times distance of the object that is lower divided by weight times distance of the object that is higher equals how many times object which exerts more force on the lever will be lower. I would like to mention that I had a photo taken of me with the world-famous expert on Asperger's, Tony Atwood, in 2007. If you like heavy metal music or short science fiction stories or real science, check out my YouTube channel. Thank you.